Hey everybody, Johnny B. Good here. Oh boy, I ended up taking a 35-minute break, but it was well needed. All right, so once again today it is Sunday, June 10th, 2018. Local time is 3:18. Temperature here in South Holland is 65 degrees. Let's go to driving. All right, here we go, baby blue. Okay, once again, Baby Blue and I are on our way to Hopkins, Minnesota. Our scheduled delivery date and time is tomorrow at 9 a.m. And also, second drop. This is a one pick, two drop. First drop is 9 a.m. Second drop is 10 p.m. Super value. Of course, Super Value only receives at night. They are both located in Hopkins, Minnesota. What else information there? GPS is a Rand McNally Overdrive 8 Pro. Camera is Sony HDR AS300. Hat cam is Sony HDR X3000, which is the 4K version. Baby Blue is a 2015 Freightliner Cascadia 10-speed. Got an iPhone, iPad, and that's it. No CB, as you can see. I actually have about 3 CBs in the garage. I have a Magnum S9. I have a Cobra. No, wait. Yeah, I have a Cobra. Oh boy, I forgot my radio now. GTL 75, whatever that is. It's got the sideband, and I have a little small one, unit in something 10. Man, I've forgotten all my radios. It's been a while since I've used them. All right, the reason I don't use them is the coax on this truck is absolutely garbage. I mean, it is just the antennas on these things. Whew, I don't know why they even bother to put them on there. For those of you who are not into the CB radio, let me give you a little bit of a background how CB radios work. What is a coax and what are antennas? Okay. Think of it this way. A CB is your transceiver electronic device. that transmits and receives RF signals. The coax is basically your cable between your radio and your antenna. It's not an ordinary wire, it's a shielded coax, a shielded cable. And you have your antenna. In the CB world, there's what you call SWR. And that means what that stands for is standing wave ratio. Now I don't know the minute technicalities and scientific explanation to that, but I will tell you this. Think of your CB as your water pump. Think of your water hose as your coax. Think of your antenna as your faucet or your nozzle, okay? Now we all know that if you're, let's just say your water pump is a 3 horsepower water pump, and that specifies the length and size of your water hose. In a perfect world, if you are using the specified water hose and the size nozzle, your water pump is going to pump out the water that is specified to what it's designed for, right? Now let's just say you have a 3 horsepower water pump and you're using a 1-inch hose and you're using a squirt gun to squirt your water out. Obviously, it's not going to work as well as what that water pump is designed for. In fact, if you keep it pumping and it's constricting the flow of water out, you're going to make your water pump work twice, 4, 5 times as hard. We can all understand that, right? So what do? You buy a bigger water hose and you buy the perfect size nozzle or faucet, and if you do that, then you have a perfect working machine. Understand that, right? That's really very, very simple to understand. Now, in radio, in the CB radio, your CB radio requires a certain coax, and it requires the exact length and tune of your CB antenna. So let's just say your CB and your SWR, your standing wave ratio, is not calibrated and tuned right. What happens is, first let's talk about your coax. Let's just say you're using a damaged coax or not the right size or ohms and mumbo jumbo coax out there. Let's just say you're using a very poor quality coax. Number one, what you're going to end up is you're going to be pushing, let's just say you're pushing 3 watts down the coax, and if you're using a very small, poor quality coax, you're going to have a signal loss. Basically what happens is, imagine a water hose with plenty of holes. You poked it with a needle 100 times over, all over around. You could see the water hose just squirting all over the place, right? Well, in the CB radio world, That's bad. What makes it really horrible is, let's just say your antenna is not tuned properly, or even if your coax is the right size, the perfect quality, but you're using the crappiest CB antenna, what happens is you're pushing the 3 watts to your antenna, but then your antenna is not tuned properly. Not all that signal will go out. It's gonna come back to the radio and somewhat create a feedback, kind of like a water pump. Let's just say you're pumping 3 horsepower, but you're only using a little faucet. There's going to be a buildup of power between your faucet and your radio. Some of that power will go back up to your water pump, or in this case the CB radio. Now if you have the best CB radio in the world and the crappiest antenna, you ain't going nowhere. The 99% of the most important aspect of the CB radio system is your antenna. You be better off having a crappiest, most cheapest radio in the world and have the best CB antenna out there. You'll get out farther. Again, because the CB antenna acts like a faucet. The more it's opened up, the more the water is gonna squirt out, and in this case the signal is gonna get out farther. Not only that, it's going to receive a lot better. In the CB world, there's what we call alligators. All mouth, no ears. Basically, there are CB radios out there that can reach, 15, 20 miles, but they can't hear somebody that's only 12 miles away. That's what you call an alligator. They can talk out farther, but they can't hear anybody properly. And that's basically the layman's term of what an SWR is and how a CB radio works. Now, if you talk to an electrical engineer and you try to explain that, he'll probably laugh at you and shoot you in the face. But if I was to teach a 5th grade child, that's how I would explain it. Of course, an electronic engineer would explain it a lot better than that, in much more details, more scientifically, but I'm sure there's nobody out there that's an electronics engineer listening, so that's the but I guess that's also my excuse of, well, I'm not an electronics engineer, so I can't explain it to you as such. This is not good. What in the world? Come on, people, it's Sunday, for crying out loud. This should have been out there in Chicago, not out here in 294. Oh boy. And now I regret. I should have taken the I-74 over there in Indianapolis through Bloomington and Normal, right? 74 to 55 to 39. Yeah. Blue Island, 65 degrees. So back to the CB radio. Yeah, the antennas on these things are horrible, and there's really not a good place to put a CB antenna, although I've seen other people out there using that little plate that they put on the mirrors and all that stuff. Yeah, I could do that. I played around CB radio since I was 8-9 years old with my dad. At one time, I used to talk throughout the world, worldwide, while I was traveling and while I was driving trucks. I used to have a Yaesu FT100D Delta. That's a ham radio, by the way. They're about $1,500. And I used to use a Texas Star 667V linear, what people call kicker power amplifiers. I used to talk to Belgium, Germany, all over Europe, Ireland. Some cases I even talked to somewhere in Russia, Japan, Philippines, Hawaii. Puerto Rico was just a local call. I used to go by 224 Ambassador. And it was great. It was also the best of time where it was one of those 12-year cycle that the oh boy, the solar spots, solar something. You see, CB radio, the signal comes and goes every 12 years. I've got hundreds of contacts, even, yeah, really. I just was really big on it one time. Frequency was 27.950 upper sideband. And that also so happened to be the Filipino frequency. Filipinos around the world will go to that frequency and claim it as their frequency, and everybody, it's kind of like channel 19 for trucks. Then of course you've got 27.555 for mostly North American, or actually worldwide, for English speaking people. And by the way, those frequencies, they are I think they're military frequencies. In order for you to talk on it, you have to take your transmitter to the CB shop and clip off a little bit of a diode to open that frequency. Otherwise, there's no way for you to get to it. I've sold my Yaesu FT100 If you look that up on the on YouTube, Yaesu FT, I think it's FT as in Foxtrot Tango 100, D as in Delta. That's the CB radio I have, or the ham radio. And the Texas Star 667V. That's the kicker that I gave to one of my subscriber, Adrian Cruz, the big dog of Albuquerque, New Mexico, who I heard now drives for CFI. Again, let me reiterate how a water pump or a CB radio works. If you have a perfect standing wave ratio, you can transmit your radio all day long with no problems. But the higher your standing wave ratio, the shorter you're going to be able to press your PTT, your mic, because the longer you hold it down, that signal goes back to your radio and heats up your finals, your transistors, and eventually it will blow up. I've blown up, oh, I don't know how many times I've blown them up. That was my thing when I started trucking. Man, I have spent thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on CB radios. And now I just really don't have the desire to have it. They're really, with so many profanities out there, just can't stand it. It just can't stand the foul language anymore. And it really is a dying trade, a dying hobby. Once the internet, the cell phones was available in trucking, that really did it in. There's not a whole lot of people out there now. Man, I could tell you stories about the CB antennas and how you set them up, how you tune them up. By the way, how to tune them up is whether you lengthen your antenna whip or you shorten it. It depends on the frequency and or the channel of the CB you're going to tune that frequency. For example, the frequency for channel 19 is 27.185, right? And you divide that by the speed of light, which I can't remember. And it will tell you how many inches your antenna needs to be. Of course, then you have a quarter length, a half wave, a quarter wave, a half wave, and a full wave. There's so many technical stuff. I used to live and breathe CB radios before. Now again, everybody knows that the lowest SWR you have, the better. The most common SWR is 1.5. Anything higher than that, you're beginning to be on the red line. I used to tune my radio where my SWR needle would not even move. Oh, speaking of SWR meters, I couldn't even begin to tell you how many I've had. I've had so many. Again, the frequency for channel 19 is 27.185, and then each channel has, of course, it goes up and down. So whatever channel you're in, whatever frequency you're in, you divide that by the speed of light. And that will tell you the approximate length of your CB antenna. And for example, you're on channel 19. Let me get that. Let me think that for a minute, because it's been a while. If you're on 19, no, wait. Yeah, if you're on 19, no. All right, if you're on channel 1 and your SWR on channel 1 is 2, okay, and you're on channel 40, your SWR is 1.1 or 1. Basically, your antenna is too short. You need to lengthen it. Remember, the lower the frequency, the longer the antenna that you need. The higher the frequency, the shorter the antenna that you need. I'm pretty sure, but it's been a while, so please don't crucify me. Come on, go. Go. So that's how you determine whether to lengthen your antenna whip. Well, I hope that was helpful to you guys. I hope that answers some of your questions about how a CB works, why I don't use a CB, and how to tune your antennas. Oh, it looks like it's just gonna open up here for a second. Come on, come on. Come on. They're not even on the road. All right, as always, thank you so much for watching. By the way, before you go, this just kind of crossed in my mind. One thing that I like about the idea of going to heaven is that you don't go to heaven just as a guest. You become the heir of God and co-owners of heaven. Heaven is a property of God. And you become the son of God, therefore you become one of the owners of God. Isn't that a beautiful analogy? That we don't go there just as a guest. Become part of the family. Live and let live. Peace.